And the video worked for everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Okay, so we are sharing and connecting by sharing our infographics. And then while we're sharing, she says that we should consider making connections, asking questions, making predictions, just stuff like that. And then part 2, once everyone's done discussing, is discussing the experiment with images. We'll get to later. So we can just focus on part 1 right now, I guess.
Does anyone want to go first?
I have it pulled up already. If
Okay.
I can just knock it out really quick. Let me share my screen. Oh, you gotta enable screen sharing, Taylor.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Okay, there we go.
Okay, are you guys on my infographic right now? Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, cool. So I had Home After Dark by David Small. To sum it up, pretty much Russell is abandoned by his mom, and she leaves him for her high school sweetheart, and then Russell follows his dad to California. But his dad starts to develop like a drinking problem. So as he like spirals more and more into that, Russell feels like more independent in a way. He's starting to like kind of break away from his dad. One of the biggest themes that I noticed in my graphic novel was peer pressure. One of the major themes of Home After Dark is peer pressure. There are many instances where Russell is forced into things he might not be comfortable with because other kids his age do. I felt like this was easily connectable to like kids this age because peer pressure, I mean, like even at this age, like it's always like a big deal, but I feel like it's like particularly like bigger deal in middle school. So under that is an example of what happened. Basically, Russell makes a friend named Warren. Warren invites Russell over and then peer pressures him into a naked hug. So that's I have one more page. Okay, and then another big theme that I noticed was the idea of divorce and like a split family. According to the APA, 40 to 50% of married couples get divorced. So that, along with that, splits families up. So obviously it's very prominent in America. So as a middle schooler reading this, there's a 50% chance that your parents are divorced. So you're going to be able to relate to Russell better that way because he's going through something that you're going through. And the quote that really stuck out to me regarding that was, it was right at the beginning of the book. His parents were fighting. He said, that night when the screaming and shouting began, it was like hearing my parents' real voices for the first time. So like if, you know, middle schoolers living in like a broken home, if you will, or like life at home isn't the greatest, he can kind of, you know, find a relatable character in this book. And that's Russell. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. Cool. How do I stop sharing?
I have mine pulled up so I could share next.
Do we need to talk about like each person's like infographic though?
I think so. Yeah, share each of your graphics.
So maybe should we go back to yours?
Yeah, you want me to pull mine back up really quick? Okay. Does anyone have like the prompts up right now, or?
I'm pulling those up right now.
Okay, so make a connection, like text to self, text to text, or text to world. I think like definitely what you said, how students can connect, like a lot of students are going to experience divorce, and this is a great book to show them that they're not alone and that this is like something that happens. So I think a lot of students, like you said, can relate to this book.
Yeah, absolutely. Like my parents got divorced in middle school, so that's definitely like relatable for sure. And I know like a lot of my friends' parents did too.
Okay. And
How
then,
old are they? Because like the photos you chose make them look really young.
He's 13. He's
Okay,
right.
so
Yeah, he's
really young, but
13.
not as young as they would just suggest. Okay.
No, this is just some random dude that I
Mhm.
found on the thing I was using. I just put him there. But yeah, he's 13. Okay. What's the next little
Kind of make a clarification we could go to next. What was he getting like peer pressured into doing? Did you say?
So he got peer pressured into, there's a lot of things, but pretty much he gets outed for some reason. And the kids all, they all call him queer and they call him gay, even though, that's not true. And the example for peer pressure I used was when Warren was one of the only people who didn't make fun of him. So Russell thought that he was a friend. So when Russell was at Warren's house, um, Warren peer pressured him into doing the naked hug. Russell did not want to do it, but he felt like he was pressured to because, this kid at this age was almost making him do it. Yeah, that's that.
I
Yeah,
swear, like YA novels have some of the like darkest
it
scenes in
gets,
the middle of
hold
things.
on.
I don't know.
I'm about to go even deeper. It gets darker. So, okay. So after the naked hug incident, Russell, in order to get on like the good side of the bullies, he outs Warren and he's like, oh, like he wanted to do a naked hug with me. He's gay, he's queer. And then so the bullies start treating Russell a little bit better because he's like kind of one of them now. That's again peer
Hmm.
pressure, like you're being mean to this kid. And Warren ends up hanging himself a little bit.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, I was reading and I was like,
Yes.
what? Like this is a, yeah, it's designed for like middle school kids, but yeah, kid hangs himself
That's
because
super
of it.
dark.
I know. I was like,
Wow.
wow,
Wow. Wow.
wow, wow, wow.
But that will show that will definitely like scare kids into showing them that they can't treat others that way.
Yeah, like your words
Right,
matter.
absolutely.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, make a prediction. Um,
I feel
Zach, do
like
you have
kids
any
won't
like?
change. The kids
Yeah.
won't, and that's the
I mean,
sad part about it.
yeah, I mean, I feel like, in a perfect world, we're like, oh yeah, the kid will be able to relate to the character and, change because of it. But at the end of the day, like they don't really change. Like I
Mhm.
feel like
Yeah.
it's just like kind of like a wish at this point for them to be really that connected to the characters.
Because even if if it's like a group of bullies, if like one of the kids like knows that they're doing something wrong, they're still probably not going to speak up against the rest of them. So it really takes like a group effort to change.
Yeah, that's it. That kind of ties into peer pressure too. Like they have to do it because the group's doing it. So,
Mhm.
um, anyone else have any predictions based on my infographic?
Um, maybe that the bullying is still going to happen, but the topic of the bullying might change.
Yeah, I feel like bullying's always going to happen.
Yeah, but the reasons you're getting bullied might not be the
Yeah.
same as they
Mhm.
were 5, 6 years
Maybe
ago.
maybe the kid's like, oh, maybe I won't make fun of this kid for, being queer or something like that.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
maybe not.
Yeah, I feel like it'll just move on to like a different subject for the kids to like pick on.
Yeah.
Mhm. Moving on to like visuals, I really like how you organized your flyer, and even like I kind of noticed. I don't know if this was like purposeful, but like the pink background contrasting like the blue text, so it's kind of like showing both genders and like like I think that's like gender neutral.
Oh no, that was definitely unintentional. That was an accident, but I'm glad you like it. Yeah, I just used the theme on the website I used, and it like automatically did the text. But
Mhm.
I did this text right here. I had to find the right color. But no, that was unintentional. But like that's a good point, and that kind of like brings a different aspect. And
Yeah, it kind of fits
I
like
I
the theme.
mhm, I like that point.
I feel like that was definitely like when the English teacher is like, and what does the red curtain signify? Well, the curtain was red.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I think we're good with that. Awesome job, Zach.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
That's for you.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna share mine. All right. This is mine. I should have just gone on Canva, but like whatever, this is fine. So I did the book Awkward, and it was like so fun to read, honestly. And it was about just like this girl Penelope, and like she's like, I don't know, it's her experience with middle school, and there's like a rivalry between the art club and the science club, and they like are constantly going back and forth, like fighting with each other, and then they both get disqualified from this big competition because they can't, like, they're just sabotaging each other, and then they have to figure out how to work together to like win back their spot, and it's all that. But it really has a big, like, that's like the background plot, but then it has a huge focus on like friendship and like what it means to be a good friend. So I said like the overall theme is treat others the way you want to be treated. And then some examples that like justified this was that Penelope experiences the guilt, the guilt of mistreating someone who helped her because other people's judgment had an impact on her. Like this boy on the right, he like helped her pick up her stuff, and then she like pushed him away because people started like saying they were like dating or something like that. So she was like really mean to him when he was just trying to help her. Um, and then through the rivalry between the science and art club, she learns how to work through challenges, and the meaning of teamwork. And so, yeah, I just kind of explained that. And then along the way, she makes two friends, Jamie and Mirabella, who show her what it means to be a good friend to others. And then some quotes that go along with this is the boy Jamie, he was saying to her, my mom says there are bad people who hurt others for fun, and there are good people who do it by accident, like they make a mistake, because he like she apologized to him and he was like, oh, it's okay, like, and then said that quote. So I thought that was just like a really good quote in general. And then another one is, and then this is something like this girl Penelope and Maribella had like a sleepover, and then Penelope realized that Maribella has like everything together in school. Like she's super, like, I don't know, she just has her stuff together with school, but then like her home life, her parents are like kind of in the process of getting a divorce. So Penelope sleeps over at Marabella's house, and they're working on this project, and she says, thank you for not leaving me alone to deal with this when things got hard. Other people would have. You're a true friend. So it kind of emphasizes like what it means to be a good friend, like what you have to do. And then the last page of the book like had this quote, build things, build friendships, build yourself bit by little bit. It might feel like you're not adding that much, but in the end it will add up to a lot. So that was just kind of like the last thought of it. And then of how to treat their peers, like within the classroom. So just kind of going like that leads back to like classroom etiquette basically. And then students see an outside perspective of the thoughts of an adolescent their age experiencing middle school, because yeah, it's like funny the like her thought process for things. And then students learn the lesson that even if you have different interests than someone else, you could still get along and learn more about someone by getting to know them. So like at first she judged all these people, and then she got to know them and she learned their stories and realized that they have like more in common than she thought. So yeah, just students will get out of this just like how to be a good friend to others. Yeah, that's it.
No, that's really good. So the main idea is treat others the way you want to be treated. I feel like the way how she's in the art club and then he's in the science club, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like when you like get to different races, religions, whatever, I feel like this is almost like kind of like that, but it's not black and white, it's art and science. And
Yeah.
it's, it's like knocking down those implicit biases that you might have. And like once you actually get to know someone, they're not, the stereotypes might fall or something like that. So I think that we can really, really get a lot from that message just based on like where they are in life and like how many different people there are in a school.
That's a really, really good point to make that I didn't even think about, that like kind of like the art and science can represent so many different things. Because like all the students, like they would only talk to the art team or they would only talk to the science team, and there was such a split, and then in the end they all came together. So yeah, just like relating that to like culture and like different ethnicities and different types of people is a really good point. I don't know.
What I'm kind of wondering about is how did the school itself come to the point where they're only talking to one group?
Yeah, I don't, it just like started off that way where she was like, "Oh, I'm part of the art club," and then our rivals are the science club, like across the hall from us. And then yeah, I never actually said, but it definitely, and then she said like one part of it was like she had like two best friends, and she was saying like, "Oh, like class is great when I'm with them, but like if I'm not with them, I'm completely alone." And I think like a lot of students can relate to that, because like everyone has like their core friends, and then I'm sure like everyone's experienced that, like when you're not with them you feel alone or you're just like kind of by yourself, and that's something middle schoolers for sure experience.
Yeah, because middle schoolers are so cliquey.
Yes, I totally agree.
But I also think too that with that, like it makes you realize that someone who you think you have nothing in common with, you have a lot in common with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did I just freeze?
Yes. Mhm.
No, you're good.
No,
Okay.
no, you're fine. Do you need me to clarify anything? Here we go back. I'm trying to like drag the little boxes of Zooms around my screen. Okay.
I'll just throw something out there, I guess. So is there like something that triggers, the science group and the art group to start, intermingling? Is there like a certain event that happens that, all right, is it like a singular item or is it just like an over time progressing kind of thing?
Yeah, that was a great question. So there's like this big like fair that they're both preparing like a project for, and then the science fair like makes like a rocket, and then someone from the art team, like this Mirabella girl, steals their remote controller. And so then like the science fair can't, or the science club can't compete, and then they find out that the art club did it, so then like the principal disqualifies both of them, and then the kids are all like upset, and then these or Penelope on the left and then Jamie on the right, they like bring their clubs together to, and they were like, "Oh, let's show the principal that we can work together," and that's how it ended.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Mhm. What do you think like student, or like what lesson could you make out of this book, do you think? I mean, that's basically a question for me because I read it. Um I'm not sure.
It definitely could be for like any class that you have to do partners with.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's mainly just like how to treat people the right way. So if there's like a lot, yeah, like you could even use this as like an introductory book, like for icebreakers, and like just to like kind of ex- like reiterate how like everyone should treat each other in your class. Like you could
I
use it
feel like
that
this
way.
would be a really good book for like first year middle school students to read.
Yeah, like it was definitely an easy read for sure. But yeah, I think, is there anything else we want to talk about? Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna stop sharing.
Oh, goodness.
Okay.
Yeah, oops. Okay, this is mine. So I didn't have like a classical type of novel like you did. I had a webcomic turned book. So the storyline isn't as linear, I guess, as yours is. So basically, it's like fantasy style. She's a shapeshifter. He is a hero turned villain after this guy here betrayed him by blowing off his arm with a gun. And so basically, it's kind of starts with her trying to work for him because she wants to be involved in his villainy and help him out. And it gets crazier and crazier because he's trying to expose the institute, which kind of raised the both of them for like the monsters they are, because as soon as he lost his arm, they kicked him out and just like let him fall to the side and be a villain. Well, the blonde guy just got everything he ever worked for handed to him. And so he's like a scientist type guy. I don't forgot what I was gonna say going with that. Yeah, so like a lot of the main things are like good versus evil, like what's right and wrong, and if you're like going to expose someone, expose someone that you claim is evil, what are the lengths you're willing to go to do so, because he never really wanted to hurt anybody when she did it, but she was completely okay with killing people and did do so. And eventually the institute catches up to them and captures both of them, and to save each other, Nimona, which is the redheaded girl or pink hair, I think is she's claimed, it looks orange to me, she loses control and just like starts going on a rampage, and to stop her and save people he has to get a weapon that turns off her powers, but he feels like he's betraying her by doing so, which he doesn't want to do. Yeah, it's odd, I guess. It's not really like a normal thing, because like the main themes are just like what is good when everybody who's like doing good or pretends to do good is evil inside. Oh, that was bad. Yeah. I don't know where I'm supposed to go after that.
Fine. Okay, so then we could talk about it.
Really quick, I just want to say, like, I think, like, on visual aspect, I think you did a really, really good job with incorporating everything. Like, the color scheme is nice, it's easy on the eyes, and it's like actually entertaining to look at. So I think you did a really good job on that.
Yeah, that was hard. I'm not used to this kind of stuff.
No, that
Yeah, it looks really nice.
Awesome. I guess like a question that I have is like, what was like that like end of the book last like thing that you thought of like when you were reading it? Like what was like the final thought that you had after reading?
So in the original webcomic, they didn't include the epilogue, so at the end it just kind of ends without anybody knowing if she survived or not, and the two of them are just both in the hospital recovering together. But in the epilogue included in the book, it's shown that she lived and she's going to go on adventuring without them, and they have moved in together and have started a new life together. They're romantic, by the way. It's not like childhood friends. It's like they're actually together.
That's cool. So there was like a sense of romance in the book.
It was friends who betrayed each other and became enemies, and then they're romance again because the one guy shot off his arm.
Wow.
Yeah, more text.
Do you have like a prediction of if there was like a second part to this, what it would be?
I think it would probably have her reintroduced into their lives, because I can't see them going on and being just them by themselves. I think it was the interaction of their characters that made things happen.
Yeah.
She was kind of like the catalyst for him discovering some of the things that the Institute was doing and being able to expose that. And then like, as a result of what they were doing, he was losing some of his station, seeing things that weren't supposed the way they were supposed to be. Because he's a decent person being told what to do by not so decent people.
And then how do you think like there could be like a lot, like what would students learn from this, from reading this?
I guess to make your own judgments. when you're facing a moral dilemma, and don't just fall back onto what everybody else is saying.
Yeah, that's
Kind of like a no mob mentality rule.
yeah.
Kind of
That would be
ties
a
into,
life
like peer
lesson.
pressure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have nothing else.
Yeah, it was different because it was webcomic style, so it wasn't
No, you definitely did a good job.
cohesive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting to read though.
For the make a prediction, do you think they're gonna stay together?
Yes, because I
Okay.
think if you cut off someone's arm and you end up together anyway, it's for life.
Right, that's
Very
true. That's
Good
true.
point.
I'll stop mine.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Do not know what is going on with my computer today. I'm so sorry. All right. Okay, can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I read Real Friends, and then this is my infographic. So I did Real Friends portrayed in real life. So the theme was being nice is a new type of popular. So the book starts out with um, this girl Shannon. She like has this friend who moves in next door, and they're like best friends. This isn't necessarily based in middle school, but it like starts out in elementary school. It's kind of weird. And so this like friend moves in next door, and they become best friends. And then she moves away, and then this other person like moves in, and she tries to make the new friend like her old friend that moved away. I think it's like Angeline, something like that. Um, and so then like there's like a lot of lessons in between. So like that first lesson is like, you need to accept your friends for who they are. So, when you're making a friend, don't try and make them into your old friend. And then it moves into more of like in school settings. So it deals with like bullies, and she tries to be friends with somebody, and then there's like a group. They're called like the group of the school. So it's like, like the popular kids, and she tries to like, weave her way in, and she finally gets in. But then there's one girl, her name's Jen, is like really mean to her. And so it's all about just like the inner workings of like a clique, and how, cliques can be mean and judgmental. Um, and then eventually, she's like behind the school crying, and there's like another girl that's like younger than her that she finds back there, and they like become friends, kind of like the people who are bullied. So like that's like a whole storyline. And then like at the end, so fifth grade merges with sixth grade, and so she becomes friends with these sixth graders. And they're nice to everybody, and so she becomes friends with them and realizes that being nice is actually a way to have friends as well. And then at the end it ends with like the leader of the popular group like wanting to be in her group because she's nice and there's not drama and everything like that. Um so for this I said like they said like, let's make the I Hate Shannon Club. Characters in the book then tried to push Shannon out of the group, and to make it in like real life, I said if you see that someone is always alone at lunch, invite them over to sit with you and your friends. Hey Four Eyes, this was what Jen said to Shannon. After seeing her with her glasses for the first time, Shannon wasn't embarrassed to wear them. Someone who just got glasses could then be struggling to see. So it's kind of exciting for them. Can I be the first captain is what Shannon said. And then Jenny said that Jen is always first captain, duh. Also, everyone's name in here was Jen. It was weird. It was either Jen, Jennifer, or Jenny. Got a little confusing. Shannon was always last in line to be picked, and that made her feel like an outsider. So in PE, when you pick someone for your teams, like try to pick someone who's not he was usually picked last instead of your friends who were always picked first. And a common theme too was Shannon's mom said all you need is one good friend. And then while having friends is important, make sure that you are still friendly with everyone. This applies when you're in class, at work, everywhere. Be inclusive, not exclusive. So overall, I really liked the book. And I felt like, especially for sixth graders, it was really, it could be very important because that's like when you start to form your cliques and your groups and stuff like that. Okay, that's
I
me.
loved that. I thought it was really helpful that you like had the quote and then like connected it to something that they would actually experience in school. Because I feel like you could just put this flyer up like in a middle school and like people could actually like learn from it and they would actually read it.
I feel like I've seen something like this in a school before. I think you
Yeah,
like
definitely.
Natalie said, like you did a really good job like connecting it to
Thank you.
real world things, so it's really easy to relate to.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just try to think of like my own middle school like experience and just how mean like some of the kids were, and it's never a good feeling either to be like picked last in PE. Like was the horrible like worst feeling
Mhm.
ever. So
Mhm.
yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, and like oh sorry, definitely like with the whole click thing, um like kids need to understand that like it's okay to like not fit in with a group and that like just because like you want to be in that group doesn't mean that's best for you and like you could be appreciated by like a whole different friend group and like that's just not worth it to put
Mhm.
yourself through like a popular friend group if they don't appreciate you.
Yes. No, I completely agree with that.
Mhm.
So I actually had a question. I guess this could be a prediction, but you said that like all their names were like Jen, Jenny, like a version of that.
Mhm.
Why do you think that's like that?
I don't know. So because
Is it like
I really don't
Heather's
know.
almost?
Kind of. I That's kind of like what I was taking from it, but it just seemed like that was just like the neighborhood was full of Jennifers and Jennies. But it got really confusing. So, but I think also too, it could be that they're all the same. Like at the end of the day, like you're all the same. No one's better, no one's different. Um, so there could be a play on that maybe, but
That's what I was thinking. Like maybe it's something like
Mhm.
an element of that, maybe.
yeah, there was never like a specific thing that was like said as to why all their names were Jenny that I can remember, unless it was just like suburban families. Like, I don't know.
Mhm. Do I need anything to be clarified? Um, hmm. So wait, did she end up like finding? She ended up finding like her friend group at the end. Yeah,
Yes.
right.
So
Or the younger kids.
yeah, so the one like the leader of like her age group, like popular group, ended up being like, can I join your group? So it was like a switch of not like power within the middle
Yeah.
school, but a little bit.
Oh, that's interesting.
And who was the childhood friend that you'd mentioned earlier? Was she one of the Jennies?
No, so her name was like Angela. Hold on, let me look. Let me look. Adrian, hold on, was it Adrian? Yes, it's Adrian. And she ends up coming back in the middle of the book and she's part
Okay,
of
that's what I was
Jen's
confused
group.
about.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, she ends up coming back and she's like really good friends like with the leader of the popular group. So then because she's
An
friends
additional
with
betrayal.
Jen, yes, yeah, for sure.
Right.
Okay, let me.
Okay,
Okay,
now
there we go.
the other discussion. So how do graphic novels experiment with images and story?
I feel like you get like just add more to the story. Like you visually see what the author is trying to portray rather than interpreting. Like,
Less time can be spent on interpretation and more time
yes,
spent just observing, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah, because especially at that age, like you might not be the best reader yet, or like your critical thinking skills might be a little whack.
Might not
So
pick up
like,
on some of the stuff.
yeah, so like physically seeing it like out there for you makes like clears up any confusion or anything like that.
I also think like color has a big thing to, or like a big part in like the emotional part of like side of novels, because it like if everything's bright, kids are or, like students are automatically going to think like positively of it, of a situation, and like when things are darker, they're going to think like negatively. So like Taylor, the books that we read were super bright and like kind of lighthearted, but then like if you read like even like your guys' books seemed like a little darker, but I think of like Long Way Down, like the graphic novel of it is like super super dark. I don't know if you guys have read it, but it's about like kind of gang violence and stuff like that, so it's like completely different color scheme than like Real Friends or like the book Awkward I read, so I think that has like also something to do with it.
There's the attention keeping portion of it, having just the imagery to accompany text and stuff. It's just you can read a page in a book and then go back and not know what you just read easily.
Absolutely.
But you'll remember an image, I guess.
One thing that I noticed, this really isn't like a prompt that you gave us, but one thing I noticed, maybe not with Juliana's because, you know, you said yours was different, but as far as like graphic novels for middle schoolers go, I'm seeing a lot of themes of like peer pressure and like being outed and like cliques and groups. So that's something I noticed. I don't know if the other books are like that, if we just picked, you know, books that kind of had the similar main idea, but I feel like that would be like a good vehicle to, you know, get to those kids at that age.
We can like, you could like say that when we meet as a whole class, and like that would be a good point to just be like, oh, did anyone else have like these topics?
Yeah, I just feel like with middle school, like that's what they're struggling with the most is like self-identity and figuring out like who they are. So they get lost in the crowd of like everybody else trying to figure out who they are trying to be. And
I kind of feel like it's like when we were talking about the like youth literature last week, whatever our discussion was, when we were talking about like it's like pretty predictable and like kind of cliche almost. I kind of feel like the same way with the graphic novels, just because, you know, at the end of the day, it's like the same main idea, but it's just like different subpoints.
Yeah. All right. So why does this genre appeal to adolescents? Definitely the images.
Yeah, you kind of touched on that earlier, just having the images to help keep attention.
Yeah, images and the fact that it's pretty much relatable on every like aspect somewhere.
And if it isn't, it's visually like interesting enough to keep their attention.
What do the books read for this week have in common? How do they differ? I think we touched on that.
Yeah, that
just
that
the
was kinda like the
undertone of
theme.
friendship. I guess that's kind of like
what
most Disney Channel shows in the 2000s, like the cartoons. The theme was always friendship being stronger. So I guess it's kind of the same idea for the graphic novels for middle schoolers.
Yeah, that's very true.
And then how might we use these texts to disrupt student thinking?
To what? Student thinking?
Disrupt student
Disrupt.
teaching, thinking, yeah.
I think it's like, I talked about this in my other class because we had to, oh my god, my hair. We had to read the like Long Way Down graphic novel, and like I am sorry, and my roommate just came in and distracted me, but it's like a really hard topic to cover, and like they make it almost a little bit more lighthearted and easier to like comprehend through images and like through a graphic novel, because it's not just as well, I don't know, because the images were really graphic too.
I guess less thinking has to be diverted to coming up with the images if they're giving to you, so you can examine what the images mean more.
Yeah. I think you can also say the same thing with less words, because the picture also helps say the words, since, you know, like a picture is worth 1,000 words. Like you can also just like pretty much see the pictures and maybe get one or two like context of what's going on and still understand the story. Is that it?
I think so, unless there's any like other prompts we missed. Let me see. How do they experiment with images, convey meaning? No, yeah, that's it. That's the last
Cool.
question on the prompt.
Perfect.
Okay,
Mhm.
so Julie, did you say you were gonna just post it to YouTube again?
Yep.
And then can you
I'll
just send the
link
link
it.
in?
Yep.
Thanks. Okay, cool.
Thank you.
All right.
All
Yeah. So
right,
I
well,
will end recording and I will download it and then I'll send it in the Slack and then Juliana can put it to the YouTube.
Yep.
okay,
Okay.
cool.
Perfect.
Thank
All right.
you.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.